Hey there, today we are going to be talking about how I string my beds before I prep them up. I'm also going to be giving you an update on how things are going in the transformation of the front plot, where I have removed some grapes, I've removed a maple tree, and I've taken out some raised beds that were the original beds from when I first got into gardening. They were rotting and it was time to go. So I'm going to give you an update on all of that. It's going to be incredible. So here we go. Okay, so I'm just out front here and I'm going to show you how I like to string up my beds. The other day I just went out and did the stringing for these beds. So if you have been following along, you'll see that there has been a bit of progress made here. If you saw the previous video where I cut down the maple and the grapes and we start breaking down some of the raised beds and everything, you'll see that it looks quite a bit different here now. I've got all these beds strung out and they're ready for prepping, but I'm just going to walk around here and show you some of the things that I've done since that last video to kind of bring you up to speed here. So over here is where we had the maple tree. The stump is actually right here. We spent an entire afternoon going through the garden here, taking out the roots from this surrounding area here. Check out all the roots that we pulled out from that maple. Some of them were pretty fat. We were hacking and whacking, nipping and ripping, yanking and cranking, gripping, clipping. I decided just to leave the stumps. It's really hard wood and I only have a hatchet, and I was going to drill a whole load of holes and then hack away at the stump a little bit to level it, but I managed to cut down low enough with the chainsaw that I'm happy with it. It's not really causing a tripping hazard, and hopefully I don't get any suckers springing up like crazy around here, but if I do, I'm just gonna have to manage that as it goes. This is a blue Atlas cedar, Horseman's blue. She was sitting over here in the corner of this bed, kind of getting in the way. It's the third time I've transplanted this tree and it just keeps on going. It's a real beauty. I love this tree. I've also laid a perimeter of landscape fabric all the way around. And this is just to manage the weeds. You can see all the way around the back as well. I did use wood chips in the past instead of landscape fabric, but I find that they stick to fleece and insect netting, and you have to lay them out every season fresh. There's just a lot of maintenance and a lot of work that I just don't have time to do. So landscape fabric it's not ideal for the environment, but it lasts a very long time. Like, you can get at least a decade's life out of landscape fabric if you treat it well. One of the tricks to doing that is whenever you're doing a cut or anything, using a propane torch to do all of your cutting instead of a knife. So you can kind of see here how I've got this one strip that's a bit thinner running along the side, and all along I just used, you can see how it's melted shut. It's not going to fray, and then you don't shed all that plastic into your garden and into the neighborhood when it's windy. And let me tell you, here it gets mighty windy. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about how I string up my beds and what I use to string the line to. A lot of people will use stakes, and I've done so in the past. You can see I've got no shortage of stakes that I've moved. But the thing I don't like about stakes is they're a tripping hazard for one. They inevitably rot and break down. You have to fix them. If you are not leaving them in the ground permanently, you got to pull them out and put them somewhere, store them wherever. They're kind of a mess. So they're a tripping hazard, they're a mess, they're a pain in the butt to wrap the string around. Sometimes they'll fold and the string will pop off of them. So my solution to this time around with this fresh plot is to use landscape staples. I've got 30-inch beds with an 11-inch pathway. And 11 inches is like a pretty wide pathway for me. I've been using 6 inches out here for the past almost 5 years. Now that I've added this space, I've spaced it out so I can actually get an extra few inches in there. I can get 2 feet in. When you're an urban farmer and have limited plots, this is just how you have to do it. You gotta squeeze in as much bed space as you can in the limited space that you have. So yeah, regarding what's changed here. So all along here, we used to have 2 raised beds. One was there, one was there. The grapes were here. We had the maple tree over there, and then another raised bed here. We had to dig out a ton of rhizomes from this raised beds. Lots of grasses and bindweed and creeping Charlie was growing in there. It was a real mess. So we just took a garden fork to it, loosened up all the soil, pulled out any white roots we could find. The 2 beds that were over here weren't so bad, but we still had to fork them all out and then spread the soil out. But anyway, we got it mostly cleaned up and now it's looking pretty fresh and ready to go. But what I love about this landscape fabric staple method is that when you're not using them, you just push them down. They're dual purpose. They hold down the landscape fabric. It is a bit excessive, but I buy these things by 1,000. So, you know, they're kicking around and I see no reason not to use them. So they're permanently in place. They're not a tripping hazard. They work really well. They don't fray the rope. Like I just use a thin twine. And because they've got this rounded edge, they don't fray the twine when you pull them or thread them. Versus a wooden stake where it's got that sharp wooden edge which can often rip your twine. It's really frustrating when you unravel a whole roll of twine down a 25 or 50 or 100-foot bed even, and then you give it a little tug and it snaps on the far end and then you have to go back and retie it. It's a real pain in the butt. So I find that these landscape staples are actually really nice in that way, that they're really smooth and it's really easy to give it a little tug and not worry about them ripping. So anyway, that's the update. The grapes are gone, the maple's gone, the raised beds are leveled out. I've got the beds I'm gonna prep today strung out. So let's get prepping. Okay. So let's get prepping. What the hell is going on? They make this look so easy. Okay, let's get prepping. Let's get prepping. So let's get prepping. Hey, there it is. Would you look at that? Beauty. Nice straight beds. Strings are intact. One thing I really love about this system is that all this twine is just one piece of string. And when you're not coiling around a stake or anything to keep it tight, I would pull it and coil it a couple of times around the stake and then just move it along and coil it a couple times and go down. But if you've ever worked with this twine, you'll know that it's very stretchy, and even within like a half an hour of pulling it, it'll loosen up. So with this method, it's very easy to just kind of yank on these and work your way around and tighten it, because they don't catch on anything, and you can pull it all the way around to the very end and keep it nice and taut. So I actually laid this twine out yesterday, and by this morning it was a little bit out of whack with the wind and the sun and whatever temperature changes. It affects the length of twine. So I was able to tighten it up in a few seconds before I started shooting this video, and got it nice and snappy so that it was ready for bed prep. So yeah, again, I've just got your standard 30-inch bed, 2.5 feet with an 11-inch walkway in each bed. If you want to see more detail about how I actually prep the beds, you can check out this video right here. In this video, you can see all the different steps that I take in my low-till, no-dig kind of system. But yeah, this is what it looks like when it's all said and done. It's very, it doesn't look much different than it did before I prepped these beds. All I've done is added a little bit of compost and hen manure. That's all I use for fertilizer. Okay, so now that all my bed prep is done, it's time to plant. But before I do that, I'm just going to take out the string line, and all I have to do that is pull up the staples, put them back, in the fabric, and there they are, exactly where I need them for next time when it comes to string a bed up. To be honest, I don't even really string beds that often. Once I get a couple of cycles done, I've got a pretty good idea of where the beds are going to be. But just to get things going here, because I've done so much work in this front plot and these are brand new beds, I just wanted to make sure that everything was nice and square, ready to go. All the staples are here and they're going to stay there for the rest of the time. But now, there's two ways of doing this. I can roll it up and just kind of pull it through as I roll it, or I can go around and actually pull them out and stick them back in one by one. It's always easiest to grab the fabric and pull the fabric up rather than trying to pull the staple. See how easy that is? Boom. And now I can wind this twine up and use it again later. So I think that's all I'm going to shoot for this video. I hope that this is a solution if you've been kind of racking your brain trying to figure out a better way to string your beds than stakes, because I can tell you personally, I hate stakes for the aforementioned reasons. But yeah, if you like this video, please like, subscribe. I'll catch you later. Ciao.